Hello, this is a tutorial on how to make this sort of object, shape, sculpture, whatever you want to call it, inside of Revit. So, just as a brief overview, we've got this shape in a sort of prism going this way. We've got a cylindrical stand to hold it up, and the base, which is also a sort of cylinder. Now, this area here, if I take a cross section, will look similar to something like this. I think. A bit of an upstand, and actually, I've done something wrong here. It would have to go down like a bit of a depression inwards, like this. You see? There we go. That's the sort of thing I want to build here. Now, the way you would do this whole thing is you'd first, obviously, you need to open your Revit. I've already made a project here, but I'll go from scratch to teach you. So let's create a new architectural template. Press OK. Need a moment to load. Now, once you're in, you're going to want to first save it. Make sure you always save so you don't lose anything. I would recommend saving it in a file. So I've already made one. I've made this tutorial thing. I'm just going to make a new folder. We're going to want one project file here. So I'm just going to call this project. Because in Revit, it automatically saves revisions of your thing. I should call this NHS project. Save it inside of the project folder. There we go. So the first thing I want to do is we want to build the base, the circular thing, with this sort of cross-section here. Now, I'm going to be using this as reference a lot, as since you guys don't have multiple monitors, you can just simply drag it to the side of your screen, drop it, select your Revit, and then just drag it to make this one a bit smaller. There we go. And there we go, this is going to be my reference now. So let me go back into Revit. The way you make these sort of shapes is by creating components, these components here. Now, Revit already has a bunch of preloaded components. They will look like this, but they're useless to us at the moment. So the way we make our own is just go to File, New, Family, and it should open a list like this. So New Family, not Open Family. This list is basically a bunch of presets you can use. So you can make your own custom anything with this, so custom columns. You'll open up something that looks like this. This is the preview on the right. This is what it would look like when you open up. It's got like a bunch of sort of constraints, different measurements, different things you can use. Doors, your own custom ones, custom windows even. Here they are, custom window, structural columns, regular columns, models thing, but we're interested in metric furniture. It's just the simplest one and lets you create custom furniture, so you can make your own chairs, desks, whatever in Revit using this. So first of all, I want to make this base here. So I'm going to quickly save this. First thing I want to do. So right now I'm in the project folder. I want to get out of that folder and create a new folder, call it families. This is where I'm going to save the families in. So I'm going to call this base. There we go. And right now we're in the reference level view. This basically is the plan view. This is the top-down view of what we're building. For what we're going to do, we want to go into the front view. There we go. And we want to build something like this. So you could just make a cylinder going up, but that's kind of boring. And we want to make this sort of shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to create something called a revolve. So what this does is you make a shape, and you select an axis, and it will take that shape and spin it all the way around that axis. So we're going to go out by 1 meter, because that's the space that we've given ourselves. And up by about maybe 15 centimeters, I'd say. So let's go to 1500. There we go. And let's go about 800, I'd say here. Now, if you can't get the number exactly, like 850, see, this spots between, you can zoom in and give you finer, or you can just type in a number. You don't have to actually press any buttons except just typing it in, and it will appear for you. So actually, first we're going to want to close this off on this end. This is the bit it's going to spin around. And then for the rest, we can use what's called the spline tool. So this will make a curve that is forced to go wherever our points go. It'll make it nice and fluid. All right, let's go for this. There we go. So let me go back to the straight line tool and bring it going in this way. Perfect. So just hit the tick. Actually, this is the thing I've forgotten. Axis of revolution not specified. What that means is we need to specify which axis is going to spin around. If you look at the top here, we've got two options. We've got boundary line, which is what we're on. We're building the actual shape. Axis line, where it lets us either draw our own axis or select one. So I'm just going to click the select tool here to pick a line. I'm going to pick this line here, which is conveniently right in the center. So I'm going to hit the tick. And now what it's done is it's built that shape. This is the wrong view. Let me open up a 3D view here on the left, view 1. It's built that shape going all the way around. Perfect. Now this doesn't look the nicest actually, the way it looks. It's not got the overhang I wanted. So you can just double click the line, edit it however you want it to be. And when we hit the tick, now it looks better, but I'm not quite happy with this one, so let me just move these lines around. Hit the tick again. Go back into the 3D view. Still looks a bit wacky, but we'll go with it for now. Now that we're done here, let me just save it. Control S, or you just click the save button up here. Load into project. And now you're putting it down into your real world. So I'm just going to pop it down right in the center. Now, if you delete it for some reason, it's gone. The way you get it back is you just click on your component up here. And all of these components are the normal ones. If you scroll to the top, here we go. That's that base I created. So we should put it back down. Let me close these views because I'm not going to be... Actually, I am going to be editing it because I forgot to do one thing, which is give it a material. So if we go into the 3D view for the normal project, you see that it's grey. And we don't want it to be grey, we want it to be wood. So I'm going to pop into the family editor, so in here, the one I didn't close, manage materials, and it opens up a menu like this. Now what I want to do is I want to go to the bottom here and create a new material. Go to identity and call it base wood, because it will be the wood material I'm using for the base. Appearance, I want to hit this button here to replace the default asset. Opens up a menu like this. Yours might be small, you can just drag it from the corner and make it bigger. So appearance library. Basically, this is all the assets you get free with Autodesk. You don't need internet or anything, this comes pre-installed. So I'm going to go to appearance library, expand it, go to wood, and I get all of these different options. Myself, I'm going to use the walnut glossy, I think, or semi-gloss, probably looks nicest. So choose that one, and it'll look like this. Now if I go to the graphics here, you'll see just still grey, so I just tick use render appearance. And now when I hit apply, okay. Now that you've created a material, you need to click on your object. Down here, where it says a material, you can either click it and then click the 3 dots, or you can just click where the 3 dots would be exactly and open it up. Select the base wood, double click. Now it's done, it should be good. Let's load into project and close. Save changes. Overwrite existing version. So we go to 3D, there we go. It's nice brown color. But you've noticed it doesn't look very woody. The reason that is because in our 3D view, it doesn't render at the proper resolution, just to make sure that we don't use too much of our GPU, so it doesn't look slow when we're working on it. So when you click on view, render, you can render like a proper drawing. There's different levels. Right now we're on draft. It's the fastest, but also looks the worst, but that doesn't matter right now. And you'll see, there we go. It's turned into proper wood. Alright, that's the wrong close. We'll just close this one and I'll close the thing. Save the project. Remember to save as you're working. And now next we want to build the actual NHS hand symbol. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it into 3 parts. So this part here first, and this part second, this part third. So I'm going to get started with that. So File, New Family, Metric Furniture. You could just type it in if you can't find it. So Metric Furniture. So I want furniture, not furniture system. And then hit open. There we go. And if I'm building this, right now I'm in the plan view. I want to be watching it from the side in like a side view because that's where I'm building it from. It's a prism going from the side, not going from the bottom to the top. So I'm going to go to the front view and I'm going to build it here. But what I want to do is I want to create a sort of border to make sure that I don't make it bigger than it's supposed to be. So right now we're in a circle with a 2 meter diameter. So I'm going to make this sculpture maybe 1.5 meters. So I'm going to go about 750 high. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to go 1.5 high. And then 750 across. Because I want to use this line here in the middle as a sort of divider. So I'm going to close it off here. And I want to mirror this on the side, so I'm just going to select them both. Quick tip, if you go from the bottom right going up, it selects whatever you go across. If you go from the top left down, only what you've fully highlighted will be selected. So I'm just going to go this way, select them both. And you can select the mirror axis tool here, or just double press M on your keyboard. And select the object to mirror it across. So I'm going to mirror it across this axis. So, boom. We got our square now that we're going to be building in. Let me just quickly save this, make sure you're always saving. So I'm going to call this hand. Alright, so now what we want to do is we want to create an extrusion. So what this does is we create the profile and it just extrudes it along, basically creates it into a prism. So let's get started with the big thing here first, the big hand. And we'll use the space we can get. So where the middle is where I want this thumb basically to go across. This here will be this middle point you can see over here. Yeah, okay, perfect. I'll be pretty silent during building this. Just so you know, the tool that I'm going to be using for the side profile is called the partial ellipse. So if I select that and build it, it will be like this. So once you click 2 points, you can just move your mouse and it will make this sort of shape. So this is going to be where the palm of the hand will be. So I want it going at about a 45-degree angle from the center axis. So it will be nice and centered. Another tip is I've made this to be 700 wide. And because I'm using 3 fingers, I'm just going to say there's a gap of 20 mil between each finger, just so you can get the definition. So 700 minus 40 gives me 660, 3 fingers, that's about 220 mil per finger. Just so you don't have to faff around with anything. Right now I'm just going to put them as cubes so it's easier to see, and then after I'll do whatever else. I can delete the lines later, they don't have to stay. Now here, instead of partial ellipse, I'm probably going to use the center, start end, the radius arc, just because it makes a nicer circle. And here I've got my first shape, this one here. So I'll just select a tick. Perfect. If we go into the 3D view on here, we can see that it's nice, but it's not centered. The way you can change this is by selecting it and changing the extrusion end and start. So I'm going to say I want this to be 200 wide. I'm going to start it at -100 and end at 100. This means, because these are both the same number, it'll be in the center, and difference is 200, so it's going to be 200 wide. So that's 200 mil, 20 centimeters. Now I want to do this bit here, the next hand, or the fingers of the other hand. So I'm going to get started on that. I'm just going to go create extrusion, making sure that I'm in the front view still, because if you do it in the 3D view, it won't work. Make sure you go switch to the front view. For this one, I'm probably just going to use the ellipse, just because it's easier. So I'm just going to define the length. I'm going to say it's about, yeah, 200 looks fine. And the width, maybe about 100. And I'm just going to copy paste this a bunch. Make sure it's in the border that I've defined. So I want it to be at a 45-degree angle going down, probably about 220, seems fine. On my drawing, I've got 4 fingers, but I think probably just 3 is fine, so I'll just leave it as 3. It will look much better with the 3 you see here. So I'm just going to hit the tick. And that's the 3 fingers done there. Let's go back into 3D view. You see they're sticking out. Not that nice. Too far, they're not center. But I do want it to be going out slightly, so just it defines it better. So I'm going to make sure it's about, I'll say 20 mil wider. So starting or ending at 120, starting at -120. And now when you look at it from both sides, you can tell there's some fingers on there. You can make yours different if you want. If you don't like it like this, obviously you can change it. But now I'm going to do the next part, which is the palm. So I'm going to go back to the front view and create extrusion. I'm going to start it, or make sure that it comes from the center line here, somewhat being the same. Yeah, that looks about right. This one's 700 wide, so just making sure it's the same proportions. That does look off, doesn't it? So now it's not on center. I'm going to do the same thing I did to the fingers over there. So 120, end, start, -120. Now it's nice and center. Problem is the fingers here don't line up with the hand there. So what I can do is I can just go to the front, select them and drag them. This is why I did them separately. So you can move them to be wherever you want. Something like this. Oh, it still doesn't look right. Okay, so we've got them all 3 in separate pieces, right? Still doesn't look right. I'll just move them all along and hopefully make them look better. So let's move this bit here. Can move these up here now. That looks better, I'd say. It fits better. But now because I've moved this piece here, I'm just going to quickly double click to edit it and just bring this line going back. Redo this one here because I don't want a massive thumb like that. Thumb still looks sort of wrong, looks a bit babyish. So let me just quickly edit it again. Looks much better. Let's hit the tick. Now, it looks great, I think. Fingers down here can probably move a bit down. A bit more this way. So it's more symmetrical. Okay, I think that looks perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to set the material for this. So I'm just going to go into Manage Materials. You're going to notice we don't have the base material that we made earlier. That's because we made that material inside of that model, inside of that family. So it's not going to be here. We're going to have to create a new one. So down here, create new material. Give it its own name. I'm going to call this hand wood. Appearance, this button here to replace it. Appearance library, wood. I'm going to go with a nice, proper glossy walnut. There we go, glossy. Hit apply. Go to our graphics, use render appearance. Apply as well. Select all other things, so click it and then control click the other ones. You see control, you see a little plus next to your cursor. For some reason it's not recording my cursor, but that's fine. So when you hold control, when you select multiple objects, you see a plus. If you hold shift, you see a minus. And that's how you add, remove things from your select. So I'm going to go to the material in the bottom left, create new material, not create, replace the material, double click hand wood, and it should be good now. So if I load it into project and place it in the center here, hit into 3D view, there we go. Perfect. So I can close the view here then, make sure it's saved. And let me just move this up slightly. So elevation from here, or the offset, yeah, let's just make sure it's maybe about another 100 high. That still looks a bit low. Let me make it maybe about 300 high. That looks too high. Let's go between 200. There we go, much nicer. So let me just save real quick. And now we can build the little stand which goes between them. Connects them together, just like a wooden pole. So let's go File, New Family. This time I'll build it as a column. So let me just find column. It's right here. I'm sure if you just search it, it'll show up too. No, it doesn't. If you type in metric column, it will show up as well. But it's just here. So we'll open that. It'll bring up a view which looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a extrusion of a circle. Now our actual hand thing is 200 mil wide, so I want it to be less than that. So probably 150 mil diameter. That's 75 mil radius. So here we go, 75 mil. Hit the tick. If I go into the view on the side, you'll notice it's a certain height. I'm just going to build it to be probably 500 high, seems right. Load it into the project. Put it into the center. There we go. Now we're going to 3D view, it's right here. Let's add a bit of an offset to make sure it's a bit higher. So offset of, how thick did I make this? I don't quite remember. I'm just going to put it as 100. Yeah, 100 seems fine. And there we go. The amount, you might want to change the material. I'm going to make this into, you might want to do wood, but just for the sake of it, something else, I'm going to make it into metal. So I'm going to create a new, I'm going to call this the stand metal. So appearance, replace the asset in the top right. Appearance library. Go down and find metal. So I'm going to make it nice, probably aluminium grey. So I'm going to double click aluminium grey. Close this. Yep, all good. Go to graphics and use render appearance. Apply, okay. So now load into project and close. Actually, forgot to do something. I need to actually apply the material first. So material here, double click stand metal. Now it's applied. Now I can load into project and close. I haven't actually saved it. Okay, stand as the name. And for some reason it didn't overwrite the old one, probably because I didn't give it a name before. So let me just quickly update this. There we go. Perfect. So now I want to fill this with probably soil. I'll put in there. We'll make it grass, whatever. So let me go into level 0 view, top overview. Go to massing and site, top soil. Create from sketch. And let's choose the circle. So I'll go into the center here. And, oh, it didn't work quite right. All right, what I can do instead, because I've not got it all properly in the center, I can just pick line. And I'll pick these lines here. And then hit the tick. So now it's built soil around that line. I want the soil offset going up by about 150 mil. Perfect. And I also want to actually edit type, edit the structure, the thickness of the soil. I'm going to make it probably about 150 mil thick. Apply, okay, cool. So if I select soil again, if I can get onto it, there we go. High offset of 150, let's make a high offset of 300. That's too high. Let's go for 200. That's still too high. Let's go for 175. That looks much better. Now it's not clipping out the bottom anymore, so that's our soil on top. And now what we want to do is we want to build the lights which go along the side. You're just going to need to, let's quickly save this, make sure it's all good. So File, New Family. And there should be a lighting one here somewhere. There it is. So metric lighting fixture. So if we just double click it or hit open, it'll open it up. This here in the center is your light source, where your light's coming from. You can edit it by hitting the top, hitting light source definition. So you can have it as a cone going from a cylinder like a spotlight. Personally, I don't actually know how this works properly, I'll be honest. So you're going to have to figure that out if you want to do this. The simplest way to do it would just be leaving it as normal from a point as a sphere. So it'll be a sphere of light coming from a singular point, and you can build your spotlights coming from that. You can just go into your front view, create your cylinders, rotate them, have them as a nice spotlight, whatever design you want for them. I'll leave that up to you so you can create something for your own. And otherwise, this is the tutorial pretty much complete. I'll leave you guys to do it to your own devices. Once you've got your spotlights done, you've got your lighting all good, you can just go to your view, render it in a nice way, so high. You can change the settings to clouds, sun, where the sunlight's coming from, and then you'll get a cool image of your structure. Alright, if you want to, it might be worth making the different hands different materials. So the palm here, to be different materials so it's easier to notice in the thing, maybe less glossy. Soil, whatever, you could do what you want. But yeah, that's the tutorial here. You can pretty much figure out the rest yourselves.